My name is Anshul. My experience include working for projects and domains like banking, manufacturing and logistics, healthcare, life sciences, etc. These projects were mostly in migration, integration, and development of ETL jobs using DataStage. So I've practically worked on all versions of DataStage 7.5, 8.x, I mean any version of 8, 9.1, and currently I'm working on 11.3. Okay. Now, I have also, I mean, because of so many years of experience and so many versions, I've been involved in installing DataStage on the servers and all those activities I am aware about, and I even know the admin activities that that an admin has to do when you when you install DataStage, and right. So all those information is aware with me. I know all of them, and that is the reason I've been involved recently in creating some of the tools which actually gives an add-on to DataStage. So all this I try to I have all these experiences now, and I want the students to understand the topic. They even get some sample example which they can use as a baseline to proceed further in the I mean when they are on their project. So this sample example will help them understand or grasp how to proceed, what scenario I can use, if this is my scenario, what job I should use or what way I should design my job. Additionally, what we will be doing in the training session is, apart from going through the different topics that we have, we will be covering all the topics. You can have the overview, but I'll be giving you some sample scenario questions for your hands-on. So I have some 20-30 sample scenario questions right now. Pretty simple to start with. I mean they are basically from all the levels. So easiest to the little middle one. So you have those scenarios with you which you can use to do some hands-on. So that will give you added advantage. Okay. So this is how this training will be. Okay, now let's go through the training overview, like what are the different topics that we'll be going through, and how the training will be processed. We will not be starting directly from DataStage because that will not make, if I am a new learner, it will not make sense to me, like what is DataStage and what it is used for. So for a new learner, we have to understand what is DataStage, what is data warehouse, what is the role of DataStage in data warehouse. Otherwise, it does not make sense to me or anybody else who will be learning DataStage. So we'll start with data warehouse, and then we'll try to see what is the deployment. When I say deployment, like installation, I told you I know how to install DataStage. So I'll be going through some of the installation steps. It may not be all the steps, but it will be the key steps which you will actually need to do the installation. Without that, even if your DataStage installation is done, you will not be able to create any job or create any users or project. Those are the key steps that you have to do. So we'll be doing that. We'll be trying to understand what is DataStage in the main training session. So these are the key topics that we'll be going through. Then there is something very important in DataStage. DataStage has two versions, server and parallel versions. Apart from all those 8.0, 8.1, 8.5, it has two types of versions, server and parallel. So we have to understand what is what and what is the difference between these two versions. These days, people and projects, they generally tend to go with parallel version. So what is the difference? Why we are only going with parallel version? Why not with the server version? So we have to be very clear on that. That will only help us understand why we have to go for parallel version of the job. Moving ahead, there is a very important concept in DataStage, which is partitioning and pipelining. So this concept, it distinguishes DataStage from any other ETL tool. There may be there are different tools that we have in market right now, Informatica, MSBI, Ab initio. So there are so many ETL tools apart from DataStage. Then why should I go ahead with DataStage? It's because of this partitioning and pipeline technique, and along with some other options that we have in DataStage, which will actually make DataStage very easy to work on, and performance wise it will be very good. So ideally you don't want to create a job which will load say a million record in 30 minutes. That's not the requirement of a client. So if you are supposed to design a job, it should be in seconds. You should be designing a job which takes max to max 1 minute. If you are using most of the most complex job, so we have to understand how we have to design, use the best method of partitioning and pipeline to enhance our job. Once we are done with all this initial setup, we in deployment process we'll also be going through the cluster part. So we'll look into that cluster part in the demo training, how it works. So once we are done with the partitioning and pipelining, we'll see the different stages that we have in DataStage. So these stages are nothing but these are sample tools that is given in DataStage. You have to use these stages to put your logic in place so that business requirement is implemented. These stages are, it reduces a lot of effort because you don't have to write the code manually. You just have to implement your logic using these stages in DataStage. So it reduces a lot of effort. Additionally, it increases the performance. Right? There are many other added features that we have in DataStage. Sample can be a find option that is there in DataStage 8.0 and above. This find option is very helpful, provided we follow a particular standard in creating a job. So we'll discuss about the standard that we have to follow. Every company now is following that standard. I have worked with so many projects from above 8.0 and above versions. I have seen in all the projects they are following that particular standard. So based on that, I have concluded a list of standards that we have to follow. Then after we have designed the DataStage jobs, there is something called sequencer job that we have in DataStage, which actually is nothing but a control program. It controls the execution of DataStage jobs that we have created. It also has some added options and added features which can be used, like sending a mail to any business email ID, or executing any Unix or batch script or a routine script. So we have those added options in sequencer job which you can leverage anytime. Now, once we are done with this, obviously you will be getting some hands-on questions to work on. And because we are done with the deployment part, so if you have a DataStage software, you will be able to install it on your laptop practically. So that should not be any problem. You will be able to work on the DataStage job development and have some hands-on experience with the scenarios that I will be giving you. So once all these things are done, right, we'll be going through some of the other key important part, like standards that you have to follow, and most important, performance and performance techniques. So what are the performance techniques that we will be discussing? We should follow so that the design jobs is best in the class. You don't want to design a job which takes a longer time to run and complete, right? So it has to be designed with the best performance possible. So we'll be discussing that as well towards the end of the slide, so that while you're doing the hands-on, so you can use those performance techniques in your job and enhance the performance of the design job, right? So these are the topics that we'll be going through in the complete training session that we'll be having. Okay. Now let's give you some overview about all these topics, so that will make you more comfortable about how these topics are and what we'll be discussing about them in the training. So first thing is data warehouse. Data warehouse is nothing but it's a warehouse where we have all the data saved. Now, having said that it's a warehouse, so we have to understand why we are creating a data warehouse. Because we at the same time we have database and we have data warehouse. So what is the difference between the database that we have and the data warehouse that we have? When I'm saying database, it's a real-time database. So when you have real-time database, you cannot go back and query the real-time database, because on the real-time transactions are being saved in this database. That's the first thing. So if your query will be slowing it down, obviously. Second, real-time databases are specific to that model. So if it is a transaction database, it will have information related to only transactions. So they are specific to that specific model. In data warehouse, we have information from all the different real-time databases. They have the data from all those databases are saved in data warehouse, and from there the queries and analysis are done. So basically that does not I mean we don't destroy the performance of the real-time databases. At the same time, we have a data warehouse which actually can be used to do the same analysis and uh, and do the analytical work for the business, provide the reports for the business. So for the business, the reports are important, right? That is where data warehouse comes into picture. As per Ralph Kimbler, data warehouse is nothing but subject-oriented, time-variant, integrated, non-volatile system of objects. So all these objects are saved in one place, and that is what it's called as data warehouse. Before when we did not have data warehouse, we had data saved in different small databases or small chunks in different servers. So you may have a scenario wherein you have databases, data informations like transaction information on one server, maybe in Philadelphia. You may have account information in one server, which is obviously on different server, of course, and that is in Chicago. So that way you may have different servers placed in different locations, and all the real-time transactions are happening on those servers. So these real-time databases are good. It's working absolutely fine. But I cannot query all the real-time databases and get my data. At the same time, because there is no link between these two servers, how do I get data from different servers and do my analysis? That was a big problem. That is when data warehouse came into picture. When we decided, or maybe the people who were working on data warehouse at that time, they decided, let's have a database which will have all the information about all these objects that are, or all the databases which is placed on different servers. Let's bring them all, or maybe the required data based on the business understanding. So let's bring them all to a data warehouse. Let's create a data warehouse. It will have data from all the levels. So it will have information about account, transaction, sales, credit card information, all the leads, all the campaigns, all this information it will have. It will use this and then business can use the information from this data warehouse. So this data warehouse can be leveraged to create reports which will give some useful information, like what kind of leads we were able to convert, or what is the sales, or what is the growth, what is the profit. So all these informations we will be able to business can use from this data warehouse, right? So once the data warehouse is in place, we by now we might have understood what is data warehouse and how it actually works. So let's go through the other informations. In short, data warehouse is nothing but data which was not giving you any information. Now in data warehouse, you are able to get some information out of data warehouse, which makes which is able to deliver some information, important reports or information to the business. Yeah, so this is as per the Ralph Kimbler we have already discussed. It's a subject-oriented, integrated, time-variant, and non-volatile. So everything, all the data based on this information stored in one place, and that is what it is used for analysis purposes. Now we will be going through DataStage. What is DataStage? So DataStage is nothing but an INFOSPHERE information server. It's IIS from IBM, right? So when you or any client goes and buy IIS from IBM, these are the different components that they provide. Now, of course, all these components depends on the kind of license we get, right? But these are the different components that we get from as a part of IIS software. These are all individual software. So you will get Blueprint Director, you will get Business Glossary, Data Architect, DataStage, Information Analyzer, Metadata Workbench, Quality Stage. So these are the names that I just called are some of the most important tools that we get as a part of IIS software, and depending on depending from project to project, these are the important software that is used in different projects. So you have DataStage. You can see you have a DataStage as part of one of the software. So it's one of the software, and it's also this is the most important software that we have in this IIS suite. Yeah, there are other softwares like Information Analyzer or Metadata Workbench, which are also important, Quality Stage, but every software has their own importance and own usage. DataStage is basically used only for the ETL purposes. So we discussed when we were trying to understand what is data warehouse and how it was created. So we were talking about having databases on different servers. Now when you have databases on different servers, how to bring all those databases to one data warehouse or one server? That was a key problem. You cannot query the data or put the data in CSV file and load it into the new server. It becomes very difficult. So then there has to be some way that we can fetch data from multiple servers, located at different locations, and load into one target, right? So that is when DataStage comes into picture. It has this flexibility of loading multiple file systems, especially the CSV files. It has this beauty of loading CSV files or any file system, structured or unstructured file system basically. So when I say unstructured file system, means you don't. It can even load XLSX files in 11.3 version now. So it can load structured and unstructured files. You can load data from different relational and non-relational databases. So you can hit main databases like DB2, Teradata, Oracle. So all these databases which are lying on different servers at different locations, you can query these databases, fetch the data, do your business implementation, and then load the required data. Basically, where that is called as cleansing of the data. After the cleansing is done, you can load this data to the target data warehouse, from where business can look into it, the data that is loaded in the target data warehouse. They can look into that and they can analyze the data. So that is when we use DataStage as an ETL process. But before we proceed with DataStage as an ETL process, going further, knowing how we do it and all those information, first thing that will come to your mind, my mind, or anybody's mind is like, what is the architecture of DataStage? I mean, okay, it's doing so much of thing, but how? What is the architecture? Without knowing the architecture, it will be difficult to proceed with job design, because understanding the architecture actually helps you a lot. So we'll have some information about DataStage architecture as well in the training. So DataStage is all about three tools basically, which is administrator client, designer client, and director client. So let's start with designer client. So when you have a designer client, so that gives you actually designing canvas. So you can design your DataStage job in your designer client. You can use the different stages that is available, database stages or debug stages, file stages. There are stages for doing certain operations like join, lookup, merge. So you can use these stages, implement your business logic, and load the data to the target. Right? So this is done in designer. Now once you have designed a job, you need to run this job. First of all, you have to test the job, and then you have to run the job. So for that you have to once your job is run, you have to know what is the status of the run. What was it finished successfully, or did it abort? So these information, which is called logging information, is available in director client. So you can go to a DataStage director, you can log into director, and then you can analyze and see the job and understand, okay, what was the status of the director of the job that I just ran. So when you understand the status of the job that you have just ran, you from the logs you can come to know whether the job completed or not, or what was the issue and how to proceed with the fix. Right? Then the question that will come to my mind is, what is the use of admin client? I mean, I think by designer and director, I am good to understand about it. But what is the use of admin client? Okay, So admin client is nothing but it's a part of the admin activities that an administrator actually does. So in a normal project scenario, we don't get fully fledged access to admin clients because only the admin has the access to the administrator client. But if in case you have access to administrator client, you will know what are the different options that you have. So we'll be in the training. We will not just be moving ahead with the design on that. We'll even be looking into administrator client. The reason for that is if suppose you have designed you want to install it in your laptop, so you need to know what an administrator actually does, how he creates a user, how he creates a group, how he creates a project. Without this information, what are the different options that is available in administrator? Without these options, you will not be able to design, even start your designer. So when you will not be able to start your designer, then you will not be able to proceed further. So that is the reason we'll be having a special. We'll be going through the administrator client as well during the training session. We'll also be going through and understanding what is the server and parallel engine. Server engines are basically, in short, server engines are these are the engines provided by DataStage, which actually is used to which supports server jobs. They are used to run server jobs. Parallel engine at the same time are used to run parallel jobs. Parallel jobs run in parallel. Server jobs run in sequential mode. Sequential mode in the sense, if there are 10 records, each of the records will be processed one after the other. So it's like sequence, right? Parallel job, the data will get divided, split it up, and then it will be ran, so the performance will get enhanced. Now, the next object is shared repository. Shared repository is nothing but it's a small repository or a database that you can, which is used to have DataStage objects saved. Okay, so it's only for the purpose of DataStage. So only DataStage will be going and looking into shared repository, trying and understanding what the objects are there and all those information. Okay. Now, as I told you, we'll be going through the deployment part. So let's see what comes in the deployment. So when you install DataStage, so I'm just taking an example. Like you got an IIS suite, so you got IBM INFOSPHERE information server suite from IBM, and you want to install only DataStage. You are not worried about other softwares that we have, because the training is completely on DataStage. So let's proceed with that part right now. So when you're trying to install DataStage, it will look for the system on which you are trying to install DataStage to find out, do you have DB2 installed on the same server. If you have DB2 installed, well and good, it will create a new user in that case. If you don't have DB2 installed, it will install a DB2 on that machine. The reason for installing DB2 is we just don't discuss. We have a shared repository in a database. So DataStage will save the shared repository information in the DB2 that it just installed. So it will have all the user group, all the information, and and the repository and the job information, everything it will have. It will have those information in the DB2 saved. Right. So when you install DataStage, you will get DataStage administrator console, reporting console, DataStage clients, which are admin, designer, and director clients. So all these things will be installed in your server when you install DataStage. If you are installing from the IIS suite, these are the softwares: information analyzer, business glossary. So all these softwares are also there when you're trying to install from the IIS suite. But we are going ahead with designer client DataStage right now. Now, when you're trying to install DataStage, there is some in DataStage. When you're trying to install it, there is something based on your hardware informations. There is something called 2-tier, 3-tier cluster and grid installation. This is nothing but different topologies in which DataStage gets installed. To start with, if I just say that, okay, DataStage was actually a part of Essential. So that Essential was a company which actually created DataStage some time back. When it got some information, and I mean when it became useful and it started coming to the market, and IBM got an eye onto it, IBM bought this tool from Essential company, and that is when it became IBM Information Server. So why I'm trying to explain this is, when it was a part or it was with essential, so that means the data stage was started as a small, small part. So it was just started. At that time, it came up with two-tier topology. So they came up with two-tier topologies, wherein they had just had a server and a client. So server was installed on one laptop or maybe one machine, and the client was installed on another machine. And from the client, you need to interact with the server. Thereafter, it came with the three-tier topology, wherein just to enhance the performance, they tried to split the engine and the the service and the engine part into two different servers. So basically, engine and service were up on the same machine in two-tier topology. Three-tier topology, they got splitted into different machines. When it comes to cluster and grid topologies, there are even more servers that got added in terms of service and engine servers. So that is when the more versions got added, then performance got increased. We'll be looking into how these addition happened in detail in the training session, and what actually all these topologies mean. These are very important to understand the architecture of a data stage, and to understand the architecture and or how data stage in a particular project or a server actually works. Okay. Now, with that, if I assume that, okay, I have installed my DataStage server, so what are the different steps that I have to do just to start, just to start the server? Once you have installed DataStage server, the next thing that you have to do is you have to start the server and you have to start the ASB agent. So these are the two important part that you have to do, mandatory part. You have to start the ASB agent and you have to start the DataStage server. Only when these two services are up and running, you will be able to hit DataStage services on the server machine. Okay, so this is a sample screenshot. Like once you get DataStage installed, where you will be able to find the server and the ASB agent. So if you see in the screenshot, we are especially showing where the server is and how you have to move from your machine to start the server. Same for the ASB agent. So by now you have started the server and the ASB agent, and your data stage is up and running. Right? So we have been talking about data stage administrator, designer, and client. So let's just have a glance of what are the different properties that they have. What are the different options that I get when I'm looking into admin, designer, and client. So administrator will actually help you. There are so many. Okay, so administrator is what? Administrator is nothing but this is a place where you can set up your project. So obviously when you're setting up your project, so this is a place where you can set up the defaults for the project. So all these properties that you use to set up here will be defaulted in your project. So every job or every user that is created for that project will be able to use those defaulted objects that is done in the administrator. Okay. Once you open the DataStage administrator, you will be able to see this window. So you see there are so many tabs that is available: general, permission, tracing, schedule, mainframe, tunables, parallel, sequence, and remote. So these are the tabs that is available, and each and every tab has their own options to set. So if you go to the general tab, you can see there is something called enable job administrator and director. If you set this option, then the job administrator option will be available in the DataStage director for anyone to use it. Yes, everybody will not be able to, based on the credentials, everybody may get full or limited access to administrator, right? But that will be available in director to some of the options that we have in administrator will be available in director to modify. The another one is enable runtime column propagation for parallel jobs. Now, this is nothing but creating a runtime column propagation. So what it actually does is it gives you the flexibility to ignore or forget about the additional columns that get added in the future. In short, if you design a job today with say 4 columns from source to target, in future the source column metadata got changed, say to 6 to 7 columns. And RCP is enabled in your job, runtime column propagation is enabled in your job. then you don't have to worry about the remaining 3 columns. DataStage will pull these 3 extra columns and map it as it is to the target, so that these 3 extra columns are also pulled from the source and loaded to the target. We'll be seeing in during the training session how actually this helps and what are the benefits of having a runtime column propagation. One small benefit that I can assure you right now is it helps you creating generic job. So that when you create a generic job, the same job can be used for multiple systems or multiple databases. So this runtime column propagation will help you create generic jobs. Right now, having this, if it is enabled, it should be enabled or it should not be enabled, depends completely. I mean, if you want to enable it from based on the project, so it depends completely on administrator. You have to enable it from here. Yes, we do have options in Designer wherein we can go and enable the runtime column propagation, but that will be stage specific or job specific, not the project specific. Project specific things has to be done from administrator. Okay. The next tab, if I go, there is something called permission tab. So this permission tab is basically it gives you the permissions. What are the different access level that you have for different users? The third tab, that is for tracing. Now tracing is a very important tab that we have. It helps you in doing the logging part, job log basically, or the connectivity logging. So that you have different options in tracing to have either the connectivity tracing or the log tracing, job tracing. Okay. The next tab that we can use the schedule tab to do job scheduling, to run a particular job at a particular time. If we proceed further, we have tunables and parallel tab. Then we have something called sequence tab. So sequence tab is basically for it has options that can be enabled for a sequencer job. So that is something we'll discuss in during the job development. You remember I told in the beginning that we have something called sequence job, which actually helps to program the controlling of the data stage jobs that we have created. So this sequence tab actually has initial setup or maybe default setup that we can do for the sequencer jobs. Okay, so this is about the DataStage administrator. We'll be going through each and every tab in detail and the different options that we have during the training session. A sample screenshot of a DataStage designer. On the right hand side, this one is called designer canvas, wherein you will be designing your DataStage job. Okay, the top part is called the repository on the left hand side, and the bottom part is the palette. Palette is the place where you have all the different options or the different stages available will appear. So if your palette is available, if you're trying to design a job, so for that job, depending if it is server job, mainframe job, parallel job, or a sequencer job, so based on that the palette will change. So for that particular job that you're trying to design, what are the different stages that is available will be shown in the palette on the left hand side. In an ideal scenario, this will be the structure of a designer when you're trying to start a DataStage designing job. And this is a sample screenshot of a DataStage director. It helps to validate, run, schedule, and monitor your DataStage job. So you see, you can run your job, you can reset your job, you can complete your job. So by this is the sample log that I've just created to show that, okay, this is the job log. Okay, now the next important part is server or parallel job. How to decide which job I have to create. Should I go with the server job or should I create a parallel job? So it depends on the completely it depends on the functionality of functionality that is required and the cost. It also depends on the available resources that we have and the volume of the data that we are trying to implement. So all these 3 to 4 informations will actually help us analyze which type of job that we have to go with, server or parallel jobs. The same set of information like the data, the source data, or the kind of resources that is available. It will actually help us to decide, even in during the job designing, like what are the different stages that I should use. I should use a join stage or lookup stage or merge stage, or how should I design a job? Should I sort it before, or I should not sort it before? I should. So all these things we'll be discussing during the training. I will give, as I told you, we'll be having a couple of days session on performance tuning, which will actually help you tune the job. So, which is very important. So then we will understand how we have to uh, how we have to design the data stage job with the best performance. Sample server, some information about the server job. What is server job? So I told you server jobs is a job which runs in sequential mode. So it's a job which gets compiled in basic compiler, basic compiler. So the compiler versions for server and parallel are different. That is the reason parallel jobs get compiled in a different format and the performance is more. It does not support partitioning and pipelining, and hence the total run time is more. So the cost is more. So the time consuming is more. That is when that is why we tend to move to parallel jobs, wherein because it has partitioning and pipelining, and it has in grid topology, we were in a dynamic pipelining. Dynamic partitioning is also done. So the with all this beauty available in parallel jobs, the performance is enhanced a little more, and um, it actually helps running the job in very less time. Okay, so this is some basically these two slides are a differentiation between a server job and parallel job, and how we have to proceed with deciding which job I have to take. So parallel jobs, I told you the compiler is different. So parallel job, it is compiled in orchestrate shell script language, which is OSH. It has partitioning and pipelining, which actually enhances the performance. You can leverage to run the job on multiple servers. Okay, so because of that, the time consumed goes down. We have so many inbuilt stages that is available in DataStage parallel job, which is not there in server job. So it helps implement the business logic in a very simpler way. Okay, so this is a sample information, like, okay, when I'm trying to develop a job, what should I do? So you should first use the variables which are called parameters, design your job, compile your job, run your job, and view the log in the director. So this is step-by-step process of what somebody should do when he's trying to design a data stage job and run a data stage job. Okay, now, so this is all about the data stage repository that we have. So if you see, we have user-defined folder over here, we have job folder, we have table definitions, we have routines, shared containers. So these are some of the folder that is specified when DataStage gets installed in the repository. We'll be understanding what are routine, shared container, and how can they be created. What are the different jobs that is available? How can we design the job? So all these things we'll be going through during the training session. Now, what are the different stages that we have in DataStage? So if you remember, I told you we have file stage, database stages. So if I say database stages, we have connectivity to all the databases like DB2, Oracle, ODBC connector stages there, which uses ODBC connectors to connect to different databases. There is Teradata connector. In 11.3, we even have connectivity to Hadoop. So we practically have connectivity to all the different systems that we have, and all the different databases that we have. We still have connectivity to all the files that is available. So we have sequential file, complex flat file, we have unstructured file. So these are the different stages that is available to read the different structured and unstructured file systems. Then we have XML file stage, which is actually used to read XML data. We have Java stage to read Java source file. So we have so many source files that is available. So many stages for the different specific stages for different types of file. Then we have a lot number of stages to do the logic implementation. Like we have join stage, lookup stage, merge. We have transformer. We have aggregator. We have. I think we have 20 different stages that is available for just implementing the logic, apart from reading the data from the source. Then we have some stages called peak stage or column generator, row generator stages to actually do the debugging purposes. Basically, it's for development and debugging purposes, right? So that way we have, we actually have a lot number of stages which can be used, which comes handy with data stage, and it can be used to design our data stage job. So that makes it very simple uh, to design the data stage job. Okay. We told you like we have partitioning and pipelining, so we'll be going through and understanding what is partitioning and pipelining in our training session. In short, I want to say partitioning is like partition the data. So basically, if one person is doing if one person is doing a work in a day, what if I split the work to two different people? Then probably they'll be able to complete it in a half day. That is what is the key concept of having partitioning. So we'll discuss how and how things work in partitioning. So we'll discuss in detail in the coming slides. So this is sample job example, sample design and example. Okay. So this is how you log into DataStage Designer. Yeah. So now the next important part that we'll be dealing with in the training is import and export. Why do we need to import and export of a DataStage jobs? It's actually used to import DataStage job or table definition. But the question is, why do we actually need them? So the simple example or a scenario that I can suggest is when you have been given an environment to design your DataStage job. So you created some of the jobs. Now these jobs have to be pushed for testing purpose to UAT and production environment. So when you have to push these jobs to UAT or prod environment, then these jobs has to be taken from the development environment and pushed to different environments. So that is when this import and export of DataStage job comes into the picture. From the current environment, you have to export your DataStage job, and to the new environment, you have to import your DataStage job. So that is why. What is the use of import and export functionality? We'll be looking into how you can import and export the DataStage jobs, and how you can import the table definition or the CSV file definitions from the CSV file. So that is very important. We'll be looking into that in the training sessions. One of the most important part of having import and export is backing up your job. Sometimes it happens that the server where you have your jobs, it crashes and everything is lost. So in that case, if you have your DataStage backup in terms of the DSX or the exported job, you can use that you can re-import it in a new environment and use it again. So that helps a lot. Some slides to show how we can create a new parallel job. I know these slides will not be much relevant right now because I'm just trying to show the slides and the different options, but we'll be discussing each and every option and everything during the training session. To be frank, I will not be showing things on PPT during the training. It will be completely on DataStage. So I will open up DataStage and I will, while discussing about any stage in DataStage, I'll be showing you what are the different options, how to set the different options, and what happens if I change a particular option. So in every stage we have some set of options available. How to use them and how the data gets impacted if I change the way the data I have or the way the options that I have. So all these things we'll be looking into when we are trying to design the job. There'll be no PPT. I mean, when I'm trying to give during training session, will not be much relevant on PPTs. It will be more on showing you how to do things in DataStage rather than going through the PPT. Okay, just some of the examples of the stages that we have. Just I want to put them in front. These are the stages that we have, and we'll be dealing with all these stages during the training. So I will show you how all these stages work and how you can create your job using these stages. We have something called as containers that we have in DataStage, which is shared container and local containers. There are two types of containers. Um, the container is nothing but it's a place where you can have a reusable component, so you can reuse it again and again. So you can design a container, put a reusable component over there, and you can call the same container from different jobs. The so it helps you to create a job or a job which can be reused by multiple users or maybe multiple job. So business logic which is being repeated again and again, you can put that in a container. Okay. Now this is a sample screenshot of how to use a find option that we have in DataStage. So in DataStage 8.0 and above we have a find option. That is the reason to put find option in the training is the kind of information it provides when we are trying to use a find option. So when you are using find, you can find any DataStage job. So you just have to provide the file name, provide the job name, or you can use the find option to find out where the jobs is used, in what are the different sequences you have, sequencer job you have used this job. Okay, you can also use the find option to find where these table definitions are used, when a job was last modified, who created a job. So based on all this information, you can find your DataStage job. You can find when a particular job was created or modified. So that way it gives you a huge amount of information, and that is the only reason we are trying to include that in the training session, because sometime when you have hundreds of job or maybe more than that in your development data stage, and you have to find a data stage job which you were working on yesterday, and you just remember some part of the name, you don't remember the name, you don't remember where it is saved, where you saved it, but you want to use the same job, you are halfway done with the logic. So you can use the find option, and you can use when it was modified, who was the user who modified. So that way you can filter your criteria, you can use the advanced option available, and you can find your job. So that is then the finding of the job becomes easy, and that is the reason that we are trying to include that in this in the training session. One more additional information or attributes that we have in DataStage is same project. In the same project you can compare between two jobs, or in two different project environment you can compare between two different jobs. So what I mean to say by this is, in the same job, in the same DataStage environment, one server environment, is suppose I have created, there are two jobs, and I want to know what is the difference between these two jobs that is created. So you can compare these two jobs in DataStage, and the DataStage will analyze the job, and it will give you what is the difference between these two jobs, which job has what stages, what properties, and the other job don't have, and vice versa. So it will give you information about both of them. Now a sample example like when it can be used is, you want to compare whether your job in development is same as the job in production, or maybe UAT. Production generally will not have access. So in UAT, so in that case, you can use cross project comparison. So you can use the same job in two different projects and say, okay, tell me what is the difference between these two jobs. It will analyze, and it will give you if both the jobs are same, there is no difference, or if there is something that is added extra in the development job, or something that is extra in the UAT job, or in the other project environment, the job in the other project environment. So that way you can compare the different the jobs in different projects, right? So it's just trying to show you like it in the screenshot. We're trying to find item star. So there was one match, and that is a table definition. This is sample advanced window option. I told you we can use advanced window to do a lot of option filter up in DataStage. So you can filter on type, last modification, where used, dependencies. So all these we can do in the advanced find option that we have in DataStage. We'll be going through all these options in the training session. So I will explain you each and every option, how to set that and how to use it. Okay. We'll also be going through job sequence in detail. So in short, what are the options that is available with job sequence is it helps you to control the execution of different DataStage jobs. So suppose a sample example can be you have created 3 jobs, job 1, job 2 and job 3, and you want to make sure that job 1 runs first. If job 1 gets completed, job 2 should run. In case job 1 gets failed, job 3 should run. So you have to that's a control program now. So you have to control your job execution. Job 2 will run only when job 1 gets completed, and job 3 will run only when job 1 gets failed. Right? So that is when you have to use a sequencer job to sequence these 2 jobs based on this condition, these control conditions. Suppose you want to execute a shell script. So then you can use a sequencer job to execute a shell script. Now, when do you want to actually execute a shell script? Suppose you want to execute a shell script, and once the shell script execution is done, you want to trigger a job. So then you can control the execution of shell script along with the execution of the job. Now I have executed my shell script and I have executed my job. I want to inform, after everything is done, I want to inform my business that okay, the jobs are done. So there should be a email communication, which is called notification. So a notification should be sent to the business. So we have something called as notification activity in sequencer, which helps you send a notification or mail communication to the business, or maybe if suppose the job gets aborted and you want to send a mail communication to the support team, so you can do that too, right? So they are control options. They are looping control that we can do in in sequencer job. So all these options are available in sequencer job. We will be discussing in detail how we have to do and what are the different options we have to use to do all these operations and control our job execution. So in short, these are the different so we were saying about the parallel job stages. We have aggregator stage and all those, right? So in the same way, we have a different set of stages that is available for job sequencer. So these are the different stages that is available: and loop activity, exception handler, execute command, job activity, notification activity to send the notification, routine activity, right? So these are the different stages that we have with sequencer job, right? A sample example of a sequencer job. Okay. There will be more during the training session. We'll be discussing about each and every object in detail. There will be a question and answer session, like you can ask me questions during the training as well as at the end of the training. I have some, as I already told you, I have some 20-30 scenarios with me. I'll be passing on these scenarios to you, and we'll be discussing on the solution front. So first of all, I will give you to try. I will let you try once. And and at the end, once that is done, probably if I give you trial for today, then probably tomorrow we can discuss about the solutions. So I will give you the solutions also. In some of the hands-on some scenarios, even I have mentioned the solution to start with, so that you don't get fuzzy when you're trying to start a DataStage job design, right? So this will be in the, this is all about the training.